morning, students. Today we will start the syllabus. We will start the very first chapter. But before that, we will discuss few basics. My teaching method is, my teaching pattern is, I'll always emphasize few minutes on the basics of the chapter so that you are able to cope up this chapter. You are able to understand the whole chapter. So each and every day we will discuss few basics of physics so that will help you for the further topics. So initially today we have to discuss the different branches of physics, means in the 11th standard what branches we have to deal with, and in the 12th standard what are the another branches that we have to deal with simply. So mainly there are so many branches of physics, but mainly we have to deal with the 5 branches. Look at the 5 branches here. The 5 branches of physics that we have to deal in the 11th as well as in the 12th standard are, these 5 branches are, the first one is the mechanics, second is the thermodynamics, third is the electromagnetism, the fourth one is optics, is having the 2 parts, one is the ray optics and second is the wave optics, and then the fifth one is the modern physics. Although there are so many other branches also, but mainly we have to deal with these 5 branches. Now, out of these 5 branches, we have to deal the first 2 branches in the 11th standard, and these 3 branches are for the 12th standard. Means in the 11th standard, we have to deal with the mechanics as well as the thermodynamics. And in the 12th standard, we have to deal with the else 3 branches. One is electromagnetism, next is the optics, and the third one is the modern physics. Now, at the start with what's a mechanics branch. Mechanics branch is the branch which deals with the study of the speed, velocity, rigid bodies, liquids, oscillation, waves. So that's a very large branch of physics that we have to learn in the 11th physics. You can say that our 70 to 80% part of 11th physics is based on this mechanics branch. Then move on to the thermodynamics. Thermodynamics is mainly deal with the heat, temperature, the transfer of heat. So in the 11th standard, we have to deal 2 chapters based on this branch, that is the thermodynamics. So in the 11th standard, we have to deal with these 2 branches only. One is the mechanics, and that's a very large branch. Mainly we have to deal the most of the topics, most of the chapter based on this mechanics branch. Then the second branch is the thermodynamics. Then move on to the 12th standard. In the 12th standard, the major part is this electromagnetism. In the 12th physics, again in the 12th, there are the 2 books. The first book is totally based on this branch called as the electromagnetism. Now, in this electromagnetism, we have to deal with the charges, the phenomena are related with the charges, the magnetism, the alternating current, and so many things are related with this branch called as the electromagnetism. Then move on to the optics. Optics is a study of light. You have already learned in the 10th standard about the ray optics, that is the light as a ray. But in the 12th standard, along with the ray, we have to deal the another property of the light, that is called as a wave. Means the light will behave as a ray as well as a wave. 10th के अंदर आपने ray का part discuss कर लिया था. Now in the 12th standard, we have to deal with the wave part also. Then move on to the modern physics. The modern physics is mainly deal with the atom, nuclei, then the binding energy, then these are the parameter is related with this branch called as a modern physics. So in 11th and 12th standard, we have to deal with these 5 branches. The first 2 branches are for the 11th standard and the next 3 branches are for the 12th standard. So we will start the first branch, that is called as a mechanics. I have already told you 70 to 80% of the 11th physics is based on this branch called as a mechanics. So we will start the first branch called as a mechanics. So the branches of physics that we have to deal with the 11th as well as the 12th standard. Then move on to the next basic, that in physics the bodies interact with each other. When I'm talking about the term interaction means either force of attraction or force of repulsion. Means the bodies exert force of attraction and force of repulsion on each other. It means the bodies interact with each other. When I'm talking about the interaction part, तो bodies जो होती हैं बेटा, that interact with each other due to the 2 properties. The 2 properties are, one is the mass and second is the charge. That's about a very important basic जो आपको जब तक फिजिक्स पढ़ोगे ध्यान में रखना पड़ेगा कि the bodies interact with each other only due to the two properties. One is the mass and second is the charge. क्योंकि अगर हम बॉडी की बात करते हैं तो बॉडी के अंदर मास होता है. So body का mass, body का charge, and due to the mass and the charge of the bodies interact with each other. So in the 11th standard, we will discuss the interaction between the bodies due to their masses. And in the 12th standard, the bodies will interact with each other due to their charges. Means the 11th study is totally based on the masses and the 12th study is totally based on the charges. So when I'm talking about the masses, the bodies interact due to their masses. This topic you have already learned in the 9th standard. Recall करवाता हूँ. According to the Newton's universal law of gravitation, when there are the two bodies having their masses, suppose the masses are m1 and m2, separated or they are having certain distance apart, like the distances are, so you have already learned this point, then there exists a force and that force was G m1 m2 upon r square. This force is called as, इसको बोलते थे हम gravitational force. Gravitational force. Can we say that the gravitational force, why this gravitational force is existing? Can we say that the force is due to their masses? Can we say that due to the mass of the bodies attract each other with a force? That force is called as a gravitation, that we have learned in the 9th standard. Then move on to the 10th standard. In the 10th standard, you have learned in the electricity chapter, current electricity chapter, suppose there are the two bodies, the bodies having the charges q1 and q2, separated by the distance r, then again there exists a force. The force formula is F is equal to K q1 q2 upon r square. We have to take the modulus, we will discuss the concept behind this modulus. So can we say that here the force is due to the charges and here the force is due to the masses? This is called as the electric force, you can say that. So can we say that the bodies will interact with each other? Once again, interaction, when I'm using the word interaction, it means either the bodies are having the force of attraction between them or force of repulsion. So can we say that that interaction is totally based on these two properties? This interaction is due to these two properties. One is the interaction due to their masses and second the interaction due to their charges. So that's the key part of this 11th and the 12th physics. The whole physics, 11th physics is based on the masses. We will not use the concepts of the charges in the 11th standard, and the 12th standard we mainly have to deal with the charges, and due to charges the bodies will interact with each other. Either they have force of attraction or they have force of repulsion between them. So that's about the first basic thing जो आपको याद रखनी है कि the bodies interact. Interaction means the force of attraction or force of repulsion. The bodies interact with each other due to the two properties. Can you tell me the properties? The two properties are, one is the mass and second is the charge. या तो body masses के base पे interact करेंगी या फिर charges के base पे interact करेंगी. When they are interacting due to their masses, then we can say that they are having the gravitational force between them. And when they are interacting due to their charges, that force is called as a electric force. So I'm elaborating it more. So in the nature we mainly have to deal with the four types of forces. The four types of forces are, the first one is gravitational force. The first one is gravitational force. The second one is electric या electrostatic force. The third one is nuclear force. Nuclear force. So the weak nuclear force and the strong nuclear force. The nuclear force is subdivided into the two parts. One is the weak nuclear force and the second is the strong nuclear force. The first force, that is the gravitational force, is due to the masses, and the next two forces are due to the charges. So I have already explained you the forces. The body's interaction is only due to the two properties, the two basic properties. The two basic properties are, one is the mass and second is the charge. Due to the masses, the forces, the gravitational force, and due to the charges, the forces are the electrostatic and the nuclear force. I think you have already learned in the 9th and the 10th standard about these forces, because these are the simple basic things. Out of these three forces, the gravitational force is the weakest force in the nature, and the nuclear force is the strongest force in the nature. That's another basic. The gravitational force is the weakest force in the nature. That's why we are not able to feel the effect of that force. And the nuclear force that binds the nucleus together, that's a very in large part. We will discuss it in detail. What makes the nucleus stable? Because the stability of the nucleus is totally depends upon this nuclear force. Once again, we will differentiate this gravitational force and the nuclear force. So today's two terms, one, the interaction of the bodies. The bodies interact due to the two properties. One is the mass and second is the charge. When I'm talking about the masses, then the bodies interact due to their masses with the force called as a gravitational, and in the terms of the charges, the bodies having either having the force electrostatic or the nuclear one. And out of these forces, the gravitational force is the weakest force in nature, and nuclear force is the strongest force in the nature. So that's about the first basic of 11th physics. The bodies interact due to these two properties. Once again, the one is the mass and second is the charge. Now we will discuss the another basic term, that is the conservation. You know the term conservation. According to conservation, the things can neither be created nor be destroyed, but can transfer from one form to another, one type to another, one body to another. So today I am going to tell you the another basic, that in physics there are the only four parameters which are conserved. The first one is, the first parameter which is conserved in physics is a charge. The second is energy. Third is linear momentum. And the fourth one is angular momentum. So in physics, these four parameters are conserved only. We have the little bit confusion regarding the conservation of masses. So I just want to tell you, the masses are not conserved. Masses destroy hote hain. In the conservation, the things can neither be created nor be destroyed, but the masses can be destroyed. That's why the masses are not conserved. That's a most misconcept in the students' mind, that the masses are conserved. So keep in mind, masses conserved nahi hote hain. So in physics, the four parameters which are conserved here: charges can neither be created nor be destroyed, but can transfer from one body to another. Then energy is also conserved, can transfer from one body to another, one form to another, Then the linear momentum is also conserved. We have learned in the 9th standard, and that's an important factor, that is angular momentum. You will learn this in the 11th standard. So in physics, these four parameters are conserved only. Once again, the parameters are charge, energy, linear momentum and the angular momentum. Now based on this one, एक छोटा सा topic discuss करते हैं, basic topic, that is difference between charge and mass. Listen very carefully. We are to discuss about the difference between mass and charge. Why I am using these two one? Because I have already told you, these are the two basic properties. पूरी की पूरी physics जो है, that is based on these two properties. That's why we are going to discuss the difference between these two properties. So at the start with the first important property, mass is always positive. Mass कभी negative नहीं होता. You can't say that a body having the mass minus 10 kilogram. The mass of the body is always positive. It can't be zero. You can't say that a body having the mass 0 kilogram. It is not possible. So body का mass जो होता है वो सिर्फ क्या होता है बच्चों, positive होता है. That's why the mass of the body is always positive. But about the charge may be positive, नेगेटिव और जीरो। किसी बॉडी का चार्ज पॉजिटिव भी हो सकता है, किसी बॉडी का मास नेगेटिव हो सकता है, एंड इट may be zero also. So that's the first difference between the mass and the charge. Once again, mass is always positive, charge positive, negative and zero तीनों हो सकते हैं. Then move on to the next one. Mass and charge, no doubt, both are scalar quantities. We have already discussed about the scalar and the vector. If I'm talking about the mass, if I'm talking about the charge, both are the scalar quantities. So no doubt this point is not in the differences. That's a basic point of this mass and charge. Then the next point about the mass, the force between the mass. अभी हमने डिस्कस किया था the force between mass या masses is gravitational force. The force between the masses is the gravitational force. And what's for this part? The force between the charges is electric या electrostatic force. Then move on to the next one about the comparison of this gravitational and electrostatic force. Can we say that the gravitational force is the weakest force in the nature, and what's for the electrostatic force? It is the stronger one, stronger than gravitational force. Clear? Then move on to the next property. Unit की बात करते हैं. The mass is measured either in the kilogram or the gram. And about the unit of charge, charge is measured in coulomb or stat coulomb. Stat coulomb. That's what the difference between the mass and the charge. Once again, masses are always positive, charges positive, negative or zero होते हैं. About the mass and charge, this property is same for the both, that mass and charge both are scalar. Then the force between the masses is called as the gravitational force that we have already discussed. This force is the weakest force in the nature. And the force between the charges is the electrostatic force, and this is the stronger than the gravity. It's not the strongest one. The strongest one is the nuclear force. Stronger than the gravitational force. About the unit of the mass is either we can measure it in the kilogram or in the gram, and the unit of the charges, it is a coulomb as well as the stat coulomb. Then the most important property, masses depend upon a very important property, speed. Means the masses can change according to the speed. We will discuss it in detail. And the charges are invariant. Invariant means do not depend upon the speed. But I'm writing here, check it out. Charges at rest is equal to charges in motion. Means when the charge is at rest, it will have the same value and when the charge is in motion. That's why we can say that the charges that are invariant with the speed, there is no change in the magnitude of the charge due to their speed. So that's all the difference between the mass and the charge that we have to deal in the further topics, in the further chapters. So that's all few basics. I have already told you, whenever we will start a chapter, we will spend few minutes on the basic, and then we will proceed.